I still remember that night. The sound of sirens tearing through our peaceful cul-de-sac, red lights flashing against the white fences, and neighbors standing outside in their pajamas, whispering. The police tape stretched right across the Mitchells' front yard, and as they led the family away, hands cuffed, faces pale, I realized I'd been living next to strangers. But it wasn't just shock, it was guilt. Because I knew something about them, something I never told anyone. And if I had spoken up earlier, maybe none of this would have happened. When I first met the Mitchells, I thought they were the kind of family you only see in commercials. It was early spring, the air smelled like fresh-cut grass, and their moving truck blocked half the street. John Mitchell, the dad, tall, charming, the kind of man who smiled with his whole face. His wife Claire, graceful, always in pastel sweaters, always smiling like she had everything under control. And their teenage son Ethan, quiet and polite, always waved when he saw me walking my dog. After years of living alone, my husband had passed 3 years earlier. Their warmth felt like a gift. One afternoon, Claire knocked on my door holding a plate of cookies. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said with that perfect suburban smile. I laughed softly. Perhaps I should be welcoming you. From that day on, we became close. Sunday barbecues, morning coffee, shared stories about gardening and recipes. But something always felt staged, like every smile was rehearsed. It started small. One night, around 2 a.m., I woke up to loud arguing, voices carrying through the open window. Claire's voice, trembling, furious. "You promised me, John. We can't keep doing this." And then silence, followed by the sound of a door slamming. The next morning, when I saw her outside trimming roses, she looked radiant, calm, as if nothing happened. When I asked if everything was okay, she smiled. "Oh, just a family discussion. Teenagers, you know how it is." But Ethan wasn't the problem. I knew that much the day I saw him sitting on the curb after school, staring at the ground, his hands shaking. "Hey, you okay?" I asked gently. He looked up, his eyes red. "Yeah, just tired." Then he forced a smile and walked off. Something in his eyes haunted me. It wasn't just sadness. It was emphasis. Fear. That night, I saw John's car parked a block away, engine running, headlights off, while Ethan walked home alone. And what happened next? I still can't forget. The next evening, as I took out the trash, I noticed something strange. Their basement light flickered through a half-open window. Ethan's shadow moved across the glass, pacing. Then John's silhouette appeared. There was shouting again, and then a sound like something breaking. My instinct screamed at me to look away, but curiosity, or maybe concern, kept me frozen. I crouched down, peering through the narrow opening, and for a split second I saw it. John standing over Ethan, gripping his arm tightly. Ethan's face twisted in pain. I gasped and stepped back, knocking over my trash can. The noise made John look up toward the window. The light snapped off. The next day, I got a note in my mailbox. It said in neat handwriting, "Please stay out of other people's business. A friendly neighbor." No name, no address, just that. I should have called someone. I should have done something. But instead, I pretended nothing was wrong. Until Ethan showed up at my door, shaking, barefoot, whispering, "Can I stay here for a while?" It was raining hard that night. Ethan stood drenched, his hair plastered to his forehead, his eyes wide with terror. "Please," he begged, "don't tell my parents, just for tonight." I let him in. He was trembling, clutching a torn backpack. I gave him a towel, made hot cocoa, and asked softly, "Ethan, What's going on?" He hesitated, glancing toward my window like someone might be watching. Then he whispered, "My dad's not who you think he is." My heart pounded. "What do you mean?" "He's not even my real dad." Before I could speak, there was a knock, loud, aggressive. "Ethan!" John's voice boomed from outside. "Come home now!" Ethan froze. "Please, don't let him in." I called through the door. "He's safe here, John. Maybe we should talk in the morning." But by the time I looked out the peephole, John was gone. That night, Ethan told me everything, or at least what I thought was everything. He said John found him years ago, living with foster parents, and claimed to be his biological father. But Ethan suspected it wasn't true. He said his mother, Claire, knew, but stayed silent. "He makes us play happy family," Ethan said bitterly. "He says it's better this way, but I'm done pretending." I didn't know what to believe. Was it teenage rebellion or something darker? When I tried to call child services, Ethan panicked. "No, please! He'll find out. He always finds out." I promised to keep his secret. That promise would haunt me. Because 2 days later, Ethan was gone, and the Mitchells told everyone he'd run away. The whole neighborhood helped search. Flyers, Facebook posts, late-night drives. John looked devastated, his eyes hollow, his voice shaking at every news interview. Claire cried so much I almost believed it. Almost. Because one evening, I saw her in her garden, laughing. Not the kind of laugh that comes from hope. The kind that comes from relief. That's when I decided to check the basement. When I called to ask if they needed help cleaning up, Claire hesitated, but said yes. The house felt colder inside, too quiet. While she fetched cleaning supplies, I walked toward the basement door. It was slightly ajar. The air that came from below was damp, metallic. I took a step down, and then a sound, a soft whimper. My heart nearly stopped. I called out, "Ethan?" No answer. But when I reached the bottom, I saw a cot in the corner, chains on the floor, and a small stuffed bear soaked in blood. Before I could process it, a hand grabbed my shoulder. It was John. He smiled calmly. "You shouldn't be here, Linda." I stammered, "Where's Ethan?" He looked at me for a long moment, then said, "You wouldn't understand." Claire appeared behind him, eyes red, holding a tray of food. She whispered, "Please, just go." I ran. I called the police that night, but by the time they arrived, the basement was spotless. No cot, no chains, no trace of Ethan. Just the smell of bleach. And that's when they started doubting me. Days turned into weeks. The Mitchells avoided me. Whispers spread that I was obsessed, lonely, making things up. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a single photo. It showed Ethan alive, standing beside John, smiling. But the photo was dated 5 years before they moved here, and in the corner, the timestamp read a different state. I turned it over. On the back, scrawled in pencil, "I told you he finds everyone." That night, the police raided the Mitchells' home after tracing a call from a missing persons database. They found several fake IDs and documents showing that Ethan wasn't their son. He was one of several foster children they'd taken over the years, all under different names, all of whom had vanished. When the truth came out, the town was shaken. John and Claire Mitchell were con artists and worse. They'd been moving state to state, reinventing themselves, posing as the perfect family, taking in children for temporary care, and making them disappear. But the part that haunted me most? Ethan wasn't a victim. He'd helped them. He'd been part of it until he couldn't do it anymore.
The night the police took them away, I watched from my porch as the flashing red and blue lights danced across their white picket fence. Claire screamed, swearing she'd done nothing wrong. John just stared at me, blank, cold, almost relieved. The next morning, the news exploded. Suburban couple arrested for years of child exploitation. Authorities uncover pattern of missing foster children. People from all over the town were shocked. They couldn't believe the sweet couple with the smiling boy could do something so evil. But I knew better, because one headline stuck out. Teen boy found alive, claims he helped cover up his parents' crimes. It was Ethan, alive, shaking, sitting in the back of a police car. When they found him, he didn't run. He didn't fight. He just said, "Please, tell Linda I'm sorry." Days later, a detective came to my house. He said Ethan had left a note. I unfolded it slowly. The handwriting was shaky, but the words cut through me like glass. They made me do things. I tried to stop them. They said they'd hurt you if I spoke. Please, don't hate me. I didn't realize until then they had been watching me too. I'd been their next target. I spent weeks trying to piece everything together. Ethan had been with them since he was 9. They'd raised him to lie, to deceive, to play the role of a perfect child while hiding what they did to others. But when he turned 17, he tried to run. That's when he vanished. Only now I understood. He hadn't run away. He'd been locked up. And when I heard that whimper in the basement, he was still alive. I went to see him once. He was in juvenile custody, quiet and pale. When he saw me, he smiled faintly, like a child who still believed there was good left somewhere. "You were the only one who noticed," he said. Then his voice cracked. "I wanted to protect you." That's when it hit me. Ethan wasn't just surviving them. He'd been fighting them, silently, for years. And I'd mistaken his fear for guilt. When I left that day, the detective stopped me and said, "You should know, ma'am, there's one more thing." He handed me a file, photos, dates, reports. Every foster child they'd taken, every address they'd lived at. And at the very bottom, one more name. My sister's. The girl who went missing 20 years ago. I felt the world collapse under me. It wasn't random that they moved next door. They'd found me. Through Ethan. But why? That question haunted me every night. Until the final letter came, this time from Ethan himself. He'd written it before the trial. "They told me your sister ran away. She didn't. They took her because she tried to expose them. I'm sorry, Linda. I couldn't save her, but I saved you." The paper trembled in my hands. For years, I'd hated myself for being curious, for getting involved. But that curiosity, it saved my life.
Months passed. The Mitchells, or whatever their real names were, disappeared into the justice system. Claire turned on John during trial, claiming he'd forced her into everything. John stayed silent. Never denied, never confessed. Just stared. Ethan testified once, trembling, crying, apologizing for the things he'd done. When he looked at me, I saw the same pain I'd carried for years. The pain of being used, broken, and still trying to do something good. After it all ended, I moved away. Sold my house, tried to forget. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear the echo of that whimper from the basement, and I wonder how many more there were before Ethan. How many never got to be found? And yet, I also think about how one small moment, a neighbor's curiosity, changed everything. It's strange, isn't it? How saving someone can feel just as heavy as losing them. A few weeks ago, I got another letter. No name, no address, just a drawing of a sunflower. Ethan's favorite. On the back, a single line. Sometimes good people do terrible things to stop monsters. I sat there for a long time, staring at those words, because deep down, I knew what he meant. When the police raided that house, they found something else. A small, locked chest in the attic. Inside was a diary, my sister's. And one page had Ethan's name written on it, years before he was even born. That's when I realized Ethan wasn't just another victim. He was their legacy, the last thread of the life they destroyed. And somehow, he chose to end it. He didn't just save me, he ended them. Now, every time I see a new family move in, smiling, waving, perfect, I wonder what's behind their curtains. Because I've learned something most people don't want to believe. The most dangerous monsters don't always hide in the dark. Sometimes they mow their lawns, host barbecues, and wave good morning with a smile. And the people who stop them rarely look like heroes. So, if you ever feel like something's wrong, even when it looks perfect, listen to that feeling. Because that's not paranoia, that's survival. And maybe that's what my sister wanted me to learn all along. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It just keeps you alive.